put something together as this magnitude as we got here. So appreciate you all for coming again. I want to thank Stefan here for stepping up to the plate and getting this ball rolling for this end of year Pro Pipeline Rally. I want to thank Jason Nixon here for the short time to come up here and talk to us, as well as all our guest speakers as well. And for Rocky for showing the support and the hard working of your constituencies. I want to thank Glenn here for Glenn Sportsline as well, and the Oilmen's Association again, once again, for the community center rental and the free coffee they've provided for us to keep warm. I want to encourage everybody, if you are getting cold, to come on in, join us with a conversation and talk about the good times that we've had. First off, I want to acknowledge why we're all here. We're all here because we want answers, right? So do I. You're here to raise your voice. So am I. You're here to get back to work, and so am I. We're standing together to fight for the right to build more pipelines to get our natural resources to fair market access. We're standing together to fight for the right to get back to work. And finally, we're standing together to fight for our right for our global independence. For those of you who don't know, my name is Chad Miller, and I am an oil field dad. I was born and raised right here in Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. I went to school right over there where that Tim Hortons is now. I grew up in this town to about grade 7. I moved out to a farm out past Cow Lake. So my roots are deep here in this community. I learned how to work hard and how to respect the land that we use to make a life for ourselves. I also learned how to never take advantage of the good times, and also there were some rough times as well over the years too. And Mom's leftovers were just as great as to look forward to as the dinners were before. That's right. We all had leftovers. I learned at an early age, at age 12, to drive tractor and to help the farm. I learned how to run a line skidder, a grapple skidder, an open cab dozer for some that don't know what those are anymore, as well as an excavator, all on the farm. I would skip out in school and in afternoons to help do pipeline reclamations and lease reclamations and such west. You know, I've camped and I've quadded and I've hunted and I've fished in these back doors probably just as much as anybody else out here. You know, and I've stopped off at Glen Sportsline on the way out of town camping on a lucky weekend off just to get a tire fix for my boy just so he could ride his dirt bike for that weekend. I want to thank him for that personally. Thank you. You see, Rocky is where I got my start in the oil field. I started working out for Wayne Paderni Welding out of Leslieville as a laborer because you know who would hire a 16-year-old hoe operator at the time anyway. I worked with my uncles and my family members in the pipelines facilities. I was home every night for quite a few years. I started a family here. This is my roots. I owe my start to this town, this community, this oil field nation. Since starting my foundation here, I grew outwards, literally. I have lived in quite a different places, and I've worked as many just as well, chasing the dream, praying for one more pipeline, one more boom, so we can just get things paid off. I've worked in faraway places as Fort St. John, Brooks, Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray, Estevan, Saskatchewan, all the places in between, even down into Cuba, just to stay busy. And I tell you what, I've stayed in some pretty bad camps and some pretty okay camps as well. But I even had my fair share of the Pico Wind stays as well, for those that know. There was always room for a hot meal, and what I want to say, there's always room for a hot meal and a room to stay there as well, just when home was just too far away. So she was always welcome. They're always welcome for us to come in and have a bite. But one thing was constant, whether it was staying in a hotel or a camp, or even attempt to try to save a little bit of money on the subsistence, was that everyone that you were working with was working for something more than just themselves. It's for our families, for something more. Our families missed us just as much as we did miss them. We watched out for each other. We cared and we looked out for our crews and their families. Essentially, they are our extended families. We spend more time with them than we do most times with our own families. We grieved with them, we celebrated with them. And you know why? Because we are that oil field nation. But now, for the last few years, we've had the worst recession turned depression in our modern generation here. And even for those who put away for the rainy days and then some, have had to use their savings and more to try and weather this almost never-ending hard time scenario. Many businesses have turned belly up and shut down. Risks are too high. Investors' confidence is shaken to its core. There are a few questions I think we all want answered here, if you don't mind. Is why are we still buying foreign dictatorship oil while we are forced to cut back production right here in Alberta? And why are we not refining more of our own resources right here to supply our own country with our own energy independence, rather than getting held over a barrel by tactics from foreign influence? Why are we starting to look more like a monopoly board with the federally owned pipeline?
Yeah, that's right.
Why are we not shipping our resources out of those same ports that the many tankers are traveling every day, shipping other countries' resources? Make any sense? We all know pipelines are the safest, most effective, and efficient way to transport oil and gas. The Alberta Railway Distribution Scheme is a road we should never have to take, and it's basically a disaster waiting to happen. Don't you agree? You know what we have here right now, guys, is what I like to say is, in our industry, is a double block and bleed scenario. You know what that means? It means we're... Thank you! Resources. So we are blocked here by double block and bleed. We're blocked by C-69, No More Pipelines Act. We're blocked by C-48 tanker ban, and our current governments are bleeding Alberta dry. Enough is enough. We have been pushed into a position of distress and destitute, and for what? I didn't work this damn hard to be dictated by Ottawa to buy into a non-referendum carbon tax, a job-killing ideology that some hope will stop bigger countries or bigger companies from polluting more, and the little guys end up putting foot in the bill anyways. And the rest of Canada, would stop the bigger companies from polluting more, and the little guys end up footing the bill because the rest of Canada cannot shit or get off the pot and getting pipelines pushed to the coast so we can get ourselves off of this forced digression of social acceptability for those who don't want to see our industry continue. Here, that's a lot to say for them. Forgive me, I'm an oil patchwork. We will not go quietly. Their houses still need to be heated. Their cars still need fuel to drive. The schools still need to be built, just like the ones over here. You know, and things still need to be built. And all I can say is that we can all make this happen, but until we can make this all happen without the help of our so precious resources, I say buck up or shut up.
That's right. Hear, hear.
So today I say to Ottawa, can you hear us yet? Don't worry, because you're going to see us in February when we convoy to Ottawa. Thank you all for coming out. Thanks for making a stand and raising your voice to build that pipe.
Thank you, Chad.